So there are some standards and criteria that I want to talk about. Things you need to hit, bells you need to ring in order to write a successful grant. The 3 criteria for the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council are your ability, your need, and the quality or merit of your project. Your ability is all about your ability to pull off the project. This is where you present yourself as a professional. Does that make sense? This is where you build your ethos, your credibility as a writer. It means demonstrating that you have the artistic chops to do what it is you want to do, but also that you're an organized person. If we give you $5,000 and at the end of the $5,000 we get a napkin back saying thank you, the state is unhappy with us. Does that make sense? So it's about processes not just of doing the art, but also filing the paperwork that says, hey, I spent the money the way I intended to. I'm an organized dude. When you report back to the state what it was that we did with the foundation money or the tax money, because we draw money from both foundations and from the state. The paperwork will be smooth, the paperwork will be easy, the work will be done. Does that make sense, kind of, sort? Need is the tricky one, because who doesn't need more money, right? But it's not about needing money. It's about the need for your work to be done. So, who was doing the music education grant? Hey, sort of. A music education grant. Why do we need this music education program? Why does the community, why does the school need this music education program? One of my favorite students from a couple of years ago was enrolled in one version of this class, and also in the outdoor education program, they have a large event planning class. And so he wrote a grant in my class to fund his large events outdoor project. With me on this one? The project he chose was a public event in Morgan Park, exposing kids to animals from the zoo, camping, and outdoor survival skills. You with me on this one? And the argument was that Morgan Park is relatively underserved by the Parks Department, relatively underserved by the university. This community needed this event. That make sense? Kind of, sort of? It's that the community needed the event, not that they just needed more money. Everybody needs more money. Why does the community need this education event? For an individual artist, why do you need this money to make the next step in your career, right? Every artist needs money to eat. Why do you need money to hang your work in this show? Because if you're hung in this show, then you'll make the next step in your career. Why do you need money to compose this piece? Will composing this piece take you to the next step in your career? Does that make sense? It's not about a monetary need, it's about a professional need for you as an artist or a community need for your program. The third criteria are about merit and quality. So let's say that you would like to receive a career development grant to paint for the summer. You have an opportunity to go to Grand Marais, and if only you received this grant, you could paint for the summer in Grand Marais. One of the things that the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council would look for is, well, what quality is your painting at now? Are you a good painter? Does that make sense? Which is why you have to include, most of the times with an arts grant, a work sample, right? Something which says, this is the work I've done before. If you're writing on behalf of an arts organization and you decide to, that you need money, say to, what's the worst movie you can think of?
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. All right. You decided that you want to stage a live theatrical rendition of Battlefield Earth.
Wow.
I don't think that's gonna fly in terms of artistic quality and merit. Does that make sense? Even if you could get, what was his name?
John Travolta.
John Travolta to come in and play the lead role because he was in the movie. I still don't think it's gonna fly, right? So they'll want to know something about the quality and merit of the work you'd like to perform. The quality and merit of the staff you have on hand. Very often we ask people to include resumes. right? You are artist, you've written a resume in this class probably, right? And a resume is an important part of a grant writing process because it says, hey, these are my achievements as an artist. I'd like to continue achieving in that direction. So we will ask people to include the resumes of all of the principal artists who are involved in a project. Does that make sense? Do these three basic criteria for the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council make sense to you? Yeah. I'm going to talk now about a separate kind of grant, the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation. They're going to use different language, but one of the things at the end I'm going to want to talk about is why these languages come together and how they can be seen as asking for some of the same things using different language. They ask for the project information section, right? And the project information section is where you describe what it is you'd like to do. It's where you describe the plan of work that will get you there. And this is where they're really kind of plugging at you to see, is this going to work? If I give this group $5,000, will they be able to pull off the staging of Battlefield Earth? If I give this group $5,000 to run this music education program, is it going to work? If I give this, I work with another nonprofit in town which does wildlife rehabilitation. And we've written grants for education materials, right? If we give them these 5 iPads, will this enhance their education program? There are some groups which write grants in which the plan is a little weak. If the plan is a little weak, what is the one thing that grant writers should do in order to make it strong? Have someone read it, especially if you can, talking to someone at the granting organization, right? The lines of communication should stay open, right? This doesn't mean that they're going to give you 180 hours to review your stuff, but they're there to answer questions. Their job is to get the best grants possible, not the worst grants possible. So, you sat down, you devised a plan of work, you got some feedback on it, you realized, hey, it looks like it's going to happen. The last part of a Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation grant is the evaluation section. And the evaluation section is really about saying, hey, this money had an impact. This money made a difference. Does that make sense? So how do you evaluate whether or not a music education program had an impact? What are some things you can do? So user-end surveys, right?
Yeah.
You know, satisfaction surveys at the end, absolutely, right? What other statistics might tell you whether or not an event was successful? A performance of a play, performance of a musical. What other metrics might you use? Attendance is the most complicated answer, Grasshopper. You guys know what I'm referencing when I say Grasshopper? Kung Fu, my favorite TV show. Why is it a complicated metric? It's a complicated metric because people bought their tickets before they attended, so they could show up for it, hate it, and the attendance figures still might look like a success. Does that make sense? If after this event sales go up for subsequent events, right? You might be able to say, well, it's because of the success of this event that we got word of mouth that made the next event even more successful, right? So being able to show an increase in attendance would be more powerful than showing attendance at the event itself. Does that make sense? Keep going. Okay, reviews, right? If there's anything in the newspaper afterwards that says, hey, this performance was great, this event was wonderful. That's a good metric. What else? But why is this evaluation section important for the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation and for many funders? There's a question about it on every ARAC grant too. It's just not as important as the big 3. It's important because for the same reason that we talk about teacher accountability in educational contexts, right? But for the same reason that we talk about return on investment when we think about where we put our money in our retirement accounts. We want to know that we spend money, it makes a difference. There's a measurable effect in the world for having used it, whether that measurable effect is more money in my retirement, whether that measurable effect is better grades, better achievement on the part of the students, whether that measurable effect is greater musical learning, whether that whether that measurable effect is even something like, people say that when you fund an arts event, that there's an immense economic spin-off from it, right? Because when you have 100 people showing up for a theater performance, what do those 100 people do usually before or after? Drink, eat, drive, which means they have to put their cars somewhere. And in most parts of downtown Duluth, that means giving the city at least a few bucks for parking and a ramp that might otherwise be unoccupied, right? Every dollar that goes to the arts has economic spin-off effects. Does that make sense? And so as you're writing this, that's one of the other ways that people in the arts at least look for a kind of evaluation metric.